Hello and welcome to Leader of the Pack Pet Services. I'm Wendy and today I'm here with my dog Ruby and we're going to be talking to you about how to give your dog medications. So about 5 years ago, Ruby developed a severe allergy to a particular kind of bacteria that is naturally occurring on the skin, which caused her a whole pile of issues with her ears, also some skin sensitivity and things like that. So while we were figuring out what it was and through all of the process, surgery on her ears and things like that, we've experienced loads of different kinds of medications for her. And so today we thought we would share with you some of the things that we've learnt and some easy ways to get medication to your dog in a really low stress way. Because sometimes when they're in pain or sometimes it can be uncomfortable for them, and sometimes it's also just management medication. So there's no real pain or concern around that. It's just that they need to take ongoing medication every day or maybe every week for a long period of time. And sometimes it doesn't taste very nice, I'm pretty sure, does it? So this video really is just around showing you the tips that we've found to give medication to your dog. Yes. Okay, so this first section is really around free will. So that means where possible, you want your dog to come to you to get the medication. Do not ever chase your dog or force medication onto them. Now I know this can be difficult if the dog needs to take medication and you have to give it to them, but where you can, try to encourage them to take it, and I'll show you a few different ways you can do that rather than forcing it on them. So if they run away and hide, either wait them out so they can come to you on their own or encourage them to come to you with a game or luring them with food and things like that. But we really want to make sure that the dog goes to you instead and gives you kind of their consent or they're okay to do it, because we know that it's not, that's very stressful for them, it can be painful and all that. We don't want them to be scared of you for giving the medication or to damage the bond that you have with your dog. And we do want to make it as pleasant as we can, even under those stressful circumstances. So having your dog come to you rather than you chasing or forcing it into them will make a huge difference. Kick out. Alright, one of the easiest ways to get medication into your dog is by disguising it. So you putting the medication inside a piece of food like a sausage, frankfurter, piece of chicken, something like that, and giving it to your dog disguised in that way. Peanut butter is another good example of that. Even using games and activities where you're giving your dog multiple different treats and then you may add the one with the medication in amongst all those things. So it's a bit more disguised, so they don't necessarily know that which one's going to have the medication. Thank you, Michael. So that way they don't automatically think that, uh-oh, here comes the medication and I don't want it, and they'll spit it out, things like that. If you disguise it, they're much more likely to ingest it and you're not going to find a half chewed up piece of tablet somewhere around your house. Isn't that right? Which we found a few times at the beginning. So just, anything that your dog really likes, pop the medication in and they'll take it orally that way. So not only can you disguise the medication in food and things like that, but you can also distract your dog so they don't know that they're necessarily getting the medication. So if your dog is just having medication for, say, ongoing management of something and they've got no mobility issues, then you can play things like hide and seek, or have your dog chase you, something like that. So when they find you, or when you get caught, then you can give them the food treat then. And again, they might not realise that the medication's even in there. Or you can use, when you're teaching them a trick or a new skill, you can slip the medication-laced piece of food treat in amongst all your others, and then they might not notice. Now obviously if your dog is in pain or has mobility issues, then those are not really that appropriate, so you would use something else. So if you are giving your dog, say, a topical medication or changing their bandage or something like that, ways to do that, ways to distract them while you do that is maybe with a food toy, so something they can concentrate on. Maybe when they're eating their dinner, if your dog doesn't have any issues around food, resource gardening, things like that. Maybe you want to use a lick mat or something they find really calming, like maybe when you're snuggling on the couch or giving them a brush if they like that kind of thing. Anything that's kind of calming or where they don't realise that, or takes their mind off what you're doing with their bandage or topical application of medication. Yes. Thank you. Okay, a couple of safety tips. So if your dog is injured and in a lot of pain, they may be a bit more defensive, and so you might be safer to muzzle your dog if you're having to change a bandage or something like that on their body. So they may not intend to, but they might get defensive and want to protect themselves, especially if they're hurting or even if they're sick and unsure what's happening. So for safety purposes, you might want to put your dog in a muzzle temporarily while you deal with their dressing or adding topical medication, something like that. Another thing is, if you're having to give your dog an injection, like sometimes we do for Ruby, at first there was 2 of us who did this. So one was distracting her while the other one administered the injection. Now going forward, we don't need to do that. I can just give that to her while she's distracted with her dinner or with a Kong, a food toy or something like that. So just, if you need to, get help. Have someone else to distract your dog, keep them nice and calm while you're changing dressing or giving medication topically, something like that. Hey, good girl. So not all of these ideas will be appropriate for your dog, but just do what you think is best and what is right for your individual situation. I hope there are some suggestions in here that you can use though, and I wish you all the best when you're giving the next lot of medication to your dog. All right, that's the end of the video. I'll see you next time. Bye.